Good morning, traders. Today is Friday, February 18th. My name is Charles, and this is the Pirate Traders live stream. All right, well, to be fair and to be honest, is this a place where the market could find support and start to trade its way back up to the all-time highs? Of course it is. At any moment, the market could find support. But to me, intraday, looking at this chart, when I open up this morning, this feels very, very bearish. Okay? And so I'm starting the day this morning with more of a bearish bias. My reason is, first off, we have the larger, pullback that's happening in the market, right? The market is not in a bullish trend right now. It's in a sideways to bearish sort of trend at the moment. So there's that. There's the more recent trend over the last 3 days. The market has been overlapping to lower volume all 3 days. Overlapping to lower value all 3 days. That is a sign that there is a trend to the downside. Not necessarily a very strong one because they are overlapping to lower, which is neutral to bearish. So it's not like it's a super strong downtrend, but there is a downtrend in the market. Yesterday, we also failed to break back into this balance area. That was another signal of bearishness. And then last night, we ended the day with a spike down, and we are opening inside that spike. So that is sort of neutral to bearish as well. So the market this morning, all the signals are bearish, but they're all kind of like mildly bearish. So I'm not in like panic mode, but I do believe that the momentum is to the downside. Okay. So the market is opening. We're opening inside the previous day's range. We're opening inside the spike. So that is neutral to bearish to see, but we still expect some chop here this morning. As far as going lower, if we break below yesterday's low, I would be looking to take the market much lower than that. As far as resistance to the upside, I'd be looking at the base of the spike. So 43.86 as potential resistance. So as the market does its chop thing, first thing in the morning here, where it's grinding around, those are the areas that I'm watching. Can it get above the base of the spike? Can it get below yesterday's low? In between, I assume it's just going to chop around. It's also worth noting that it is a options expiry Friday. We often get muted days, or not often. Sometimes we get muted days on options expiry Fridays, where the market just kind of goes nowhere all day. Add on top of that the fact that a lot of people will have taken the weekend. For traders, this is a 3-day weekend. They got Monday off. So a lot of times what the bigger players do, the big money traders, is they turn 3-day weekends into 4-day weekends. And they head out on Thursday instead of heading out on Friday. So that means there'll be less liquidity likely in the market today. We'll probably have low volume. And normally that means we don't go anywhere. It means the market just kind of floats around and does nothing all day. But the last time we had one of these days, it was, I don't know if it was like a month or two ago, we had one of these days where we had an options expiry day and a 3-day weekend at the same time. And the market did like crazy moves. That was up there near the high. That was actually probably the beginning of the pullback. Yeah, I think maybe that was like this day here or something like that. It was a crazy day. The market was just all over the place on super thin volume. So anyway, that's not helpful to you. Could be a crazy day, could be a boring day. But just don't expect a normal day. That's what I'm saying. Expect something funky one way or another. And for the moment, enjoy the chop. Good morning, Diego. First in, always. Good morning to you. Trader Ned in the house. Good morning. Cyrus, good to see you. Arthur's back with us from dark California. Philip, good morning to you. Nicholas is here. Amir in the house from Cabo. Must be nice. John, good morning to you. Jay Trader in the house. Phoenix back with us. Nor Auto Trader, Schoolball, and Rev. All here. The gang's all here, as they would say on Always Sunny. Good morning, Jay. Amir, the Russian news is giving me whiplash. What's the Russian news? Dare I even ask? Dean, good morning to you. Laser Eye, good morning. James, good to see you. David V in the house. Jose is here. David Glass in the house. One day David V and David Glass have to have a fist fight. And only the winner gets to stay. Can't be having no two Davids in the chat. All right, well. Still counts as chop, but we are beginning to push lower. So like I said, my bias this morning is bearish. And I will get very bearish once we get below yesterday's low. As that will be a confirmation of a continuation of the downtrend. Opened inside the spike, didn't even test the base. Immediately started to trade lower. Bearish. Sanju, good morning to you. Greg H., please define the spike. Yeah, so if the market makes a move in the last hour of the day, so it doesn't really matter what it's doing prior to it. It can be rotating sideways. It can be trending a certain direction, whatever, right? If at the end of the day, in the last hour, it makes a sudden move one direction or another, and then it closes inside that move, from the point wherever it broke, we consider that the base of the spike. And everything that's below it, we consider that the spike. And essentially, that just, the best way to think about it is like a move that's happening at the end of the day is happening with confidence because the people who are making that move are holding it overnight. So whoever pushed the market lower here at the end of the day, right? Here's our spike from yesterday. Whoever did this last push lower, they had to have confidence that the market was going to continue going lower, right? Because if they were worried that the overnight market would retrace up and then find support back up in the area where we were trading yesterday, that would be a terrible short to take down in here, right? So if they're going to short in the last hour of the day, they must be assuming they're going to get continuation, or I would say there's a higher probability they're looking to get continuation the next day. So when we see a spike at the end of the day, the next day we do what we call spike rules. And the spike rules basically tell us if it's a spike down, opening inside the spike is neutral to bearish, right? It increases the odds that you're going to go lower today as a confirmation that those traders were right. If we opened above a spike down, that is completely neutral. It's neither bullish nor bearish. It basically means there's no confirmation. But if we open below the spike, that is the most bearish scenario, which often will lead to a gap and go and a trend lower. So those are what we call the spike rules. All right, so we did dip below the overnight low, so now I'm looking for resistance, and let's see how the market reacts to it. Do they keep slapping down the ticks at the zero line? MK and MW, welcome. Spatio, good morning, evening to you. David Cooper. But wait, a challenger appears. A third David. Oh no. Well, now you all just have to get into a ring with chainsaws or something. We have to really step it up. Black Cat, good morning to you. Mixed Doxer, morning from Tornadoville. Uh-oh, got some tornadoes happening. Phoenix, ES didn't get below the overnight low. No, that would be much more bearish. But the first step to getting below the overnight low is getting below yesterday's low. All right. So we are getting some resistance here, which is bearish to see. A lot of volatility here. Somebody kicked in a bot. Somebody kicked in a accumulation bot. Is it up or down? All right, getting resistance. I am bearish as long as we stay below this node above us at 43.80. I think the resistance will be strong enough to get another push lower. If we get back above 43.80, I'm neutral to see what happens when we test the base of the spike. But for now, this is pretty bearish. Danielle, good morning to you. Welcome. Oh, did I misspeak and say overnight low? My bad, guys. I meant yesterday's low. Sorry. The next target is the overnight low. Jitten, good morning and welcome. All right, looking for resistance now at yesterday's low. Trading Donkey, market is in danger of going no bid today. All good, though. They'll buy it up Monday. Or Tuesday, you mean? No bid. What does that mean? Just that they're all sellers today? Hitting 3 Fed speakers today. I didn't know about that. What on earth do these people have to keep talking about? They just keep saying the same things, phrasing them slightly differently, and every time the market just freaks out for no reason. Ridiculous. Oddco, hello to you. Welcome. I've been learning to trade for 2 years, so this is interesting. Yeah, probably looks a little bit different than what you're used to. Seeing the market in 3 dimensions. That is the upside to the market profile software, as opposed to the traditional candlesticks. Lets you see both time and volume at each price. Trading Donkey, basically ES will trade like normal, save 5 hours. I disagree with you. I don't think so. I think that those people have gone on vacation who normally control the market. I think it's going to be retail playing on Sunday night and Monday morning. And you can't trust anything they do. So remember, I'm staying bearish as long as we stay below 43.80. To me, the larger tone is still bearish here. If they push back up through there, well, then the low will be bullish because we've made a low above the overnight low. And it's got good excess and good taper, or acceptable taper anyway. Yeah, not good taper, acceptable taper. But at the moment, it still feels bearish to me. It still feels like there's going to be some sellers that pile on here. The internals disagree. We just got the breadth positive. But if I'm wrong, it won't be long before I realize it if we get above that node. Donkey, you're really annoying me with these price down equals bearish. No, price down is not bearish, okay? 3 days of value trending lower is bearish. Failing to break into a previous balancing area is bearish. Opening inside a spike down is bearish. It's not just that price is bearish, it's that all the market generated information is bearish. You're trying to oversimplify the way I trade by going, oh, price down, he's bearish. No, I'm bearish because price keeps going down. That's why I'm bearish. All right, well, they did it. They got through that resistance pretty easily, actually. So I am back to neutral, looking to see how they handle the base of the spike. And then the first set of single prints here. So if we get to the base of the spike, 43.86, and we find resistance there, I'll be looking for another push lower. If we can get through that resistance, the target becomes backfilling the single prints that we left behind up to 43.93.25. I still wouldn't describe myself as bullish, but a trade from there to there is doable if we don't get resistance. Got a couple low volume nodes, needs backfilling here at 43.81. Uh, 81.75. All right, so next potential resistance is 43.93.25 with the base of those single prints down. This is short covering happening here in the market. We can tell from the thin volume and the fast tempo. Trading mixed stocks, sir. You've probably covered this before, but does the overnight session eliminate single prints? It does not. The only time I count a move that the overnight does is in balancing areas. So if the market is balancing between a certain range and say it like closes right here during the regular trading hours, but then in the overnight it goes up and tests the balance area high and then comes back down, that I would count as a rejection. But only with balance areas. Everything else I ignore what happens in the overnight. So yeah, single prints still need to be backfilled by regular trading hours if they are left behind. However, leaving two sets of single prints behind from yesterday and then opening inside a spike lower is bearish. It's a confirmation that there was a change in the market yesterday. And those single prints are the signal that there was a change, and that change was to the downside. So it's like, yeah, they need to be backfilled, but not right away. Right now, the momentum is still down. Okay, speaking of backfilling, we're heading down to backfill those two levels at 81.75 that need backfilling. Design knob, laugh out loud, NQ. What's funny about the NQ? All right, NQ also looking bearish. 3 days in a row, overlapping to lower value. Very similar overnight to the ES. But we have already broken the overnight low on the Q. One could consider it a weak high because it's one tick from the M period high from yesterday. But I won't. Trading Donkey, it's funny to me thinking about market profile references like they mean anything in a market that's completely whipsawed by Putin's every move. Yeah, they still matter. Right? The market can be moving randomly and still find support and resistance at specific areas, and still like, yeah, it's still very valuable to look at the references. But I will admit, the last few days have been a fucking nightmare to read. It's been very hard. And there's been a lot of things that shouldn't happen happening. But yeah, I mean, what do you look at? The alternative is just to not trade when something is happening in the macro environment. You got to look at something. So to me, support and resistance, volume, and time spent at certain levels is still the most important thing. Screwball, what do you think about the ticks? I think they're giving us no reliable information. They're pretty neutral right now. Trending higher, but getting smacked down above the zero line. So I think the market is undecided. Trading Junkie, yeah, for me, it's sizing down and not panicking. Yeah. In the more volatile environment. John Q, past month has been rough. All these federal, political announcements, bring of war, economics issues. But it's still the same, up or down. Yeah. It's true. It's funny how it works. Like, even when the market is being totally random, like one day it thinks one thing and the next day it thinks the next, it still tends to visit the same areas. Like trend lines still seem to act as support or resistance. Moving averages still seem to act as support or resistances. Large volume nodes, so on and so forth. So it's like even when we're being random, we stay on the map. We might be running for our lives, but we're running on the road. Zeb, looks like 4420 is running a mofo sequence again. What's that? Like messing with people? John Q. Rhythmic had an outage, caused a domino effect on my NinjaTrader, which canceled out my stop, but the trade stayed alive. Rest is history. Oh boy, well, was it a good trade? Did it go your way or did it go against you? Trading donkey. I have a tinfoil hat theory that Putin has someone with a huge trading account that is probably bigly, who's profiting bigly off the news stories. I had that exact same tinfoil hat when Trump was president. I mean, there's no way those with that kind of power don't use it. If you know I'm going to make an announcement tomorrow that's going to cause the stock market to crash, how could you not tell Uncle Billy to put a few bucks in the market short? Danielle, the USA warmongers want more war? That's not the sentiment among the American people. American people are sick of war. John Q. Damn, that is terrible. I would think you could go after them for that. Like, I don't know what the legal ramifications are, but that's what you pay for. You pay for them to not have their system go down. If their system goes down, they should be responsible. Yeah, if anybody else has any advice for John Q in the chat, let him know. He was in a trade and the platform fucked it up and took out his stop and he lost money, blew up the whole account. Isn't somebody else responsible for that? Like the brokerage or the data feed provider or somebody like that? They said tough luck. Bastards. Okay, I'm getting those bearish vibes again. We'll see how the ticks react to being back at the zero line. Can they push above? But to me, it does not feel like we have the buyers. All right, chop continues. Chop, 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 chop. Market don't know where it wants to go yet. Man, somebody else running a bot, accumulate.exe. That tempo is picking up. Okay, got a little poor high here in the B period. Normally we get a push away from a poor high. If they immediately repair it, it's more bullish. Well, we have to assume this volatility is people repositioning themselves for the options rolling over. Cyrus, if you see a poor high and the pullback away from it, are you necessarily looking for long entries in anticipation of the repair, or more case by case? This is a great question. It's a case by case. It's just one more data point to take into account. So, for example, the push away doesn't make me feel bearish, right? I'm not like, oh no, the market's selling off. I'm like, okay, that's a push away from the poor reference. So that doesn't make me feel bearish. And then if I start to see support and I think the market's going to go back up, it gives me a target to look for on the upside, right? So maybe I go long with two contracts here. When the market pushes up, I go ahead and take profits on the first one at the repair of the poor high and then monitor for continuation from there on the second one. Stuff like that. It's just one more data point to take into account. Black Cat's getting his tin hat. I love it. The news is theater for poor people. The news is theater for all of us, but yes. Yeah, TFT. I would say, like, I get how that experience would have made you nervous about trading options, but it was also a great lesson. You now learned what not to do the next time. Oh, and I'm right in line with the donkey. In the flow of the chat. I didn't notice it at the time, but we rejected perfectly off the 20 moving average on the 15-minute candles for the ES. All right, back in the support from earlier. Will it hold once again? TFT didn't like the options, but once he found the futures, he's been successful lately. Well, that's good. I'm the same way. I keep trying to learn options, and I dip my toe into it, and then I'm like, nope, too complex. Still have too much to learn. Back to just up or down. Speaking of which, it's looking like down. They're getting me bearish again. At this point, I'd like to see the breadth or the advancers versus decliners get below the zero line to really confirm it. But it does feel like we have a lack of buyers here. Greg H, silence or just me? Silence. I'm just waiting. Waiting for the market to break down. I don't think we have the buyers we need. All right, there is the printing of the C period. So obviously, if the C period starts to get below yesterday's low, we're going to get some new sellers that pile on here as it's happening as we speak. And that will likely get us below the A period low, which will begin the process of one time framing lower. There's plenty of support inside between like the levels I've marked as the 217 low and the 214 low. There's a lot of support in here. So it might be a slow grind down there. But if we start to get below that 214 low, that could bring in more selling. So I am bearish at the moment for continuation to the downside. Another week bites the dust on the public YouTubes. Thank you all so much for joining me. A huge thank you to those of you that bought the e-course. I hope it's helping you. I hope you're finding it a valuable tool. If you're not a member of the brigade, it is never too late to join. You can join anytime. It only costs $10 a month. And you get to hang out with the traders for the full day. Exchange ideas, jokes, and have fun. So with that, I wish you all a great weekend, and I will see you all here. I haven't decided if I'll do Monday morning. I may just do this first hour Monday, or I may take the day off. We'll wait and see how I'm feeling. If not, I will see you all Tuesday morning. Have a great weekend, everyone. Bye-bye. If you're in the brigade, I'll see you on the private stream. I have a feeling that we're going to have to accept a lot of volatility today. I think with this low volume, they're just kind of able to push the market around a little bit easier. So we keep having this thing happen where it's like, I think the market's going to go lower, and then it has a massive push higher, finds resistance, and then it goes lower. It's happened a few times here. And it just happened in the C period. Like I thought as soon as we broke the A period low, we should have got more selling piling on, but then we instantly got to push. Instantly got to push back up looking for resistance that we obviously found, and now we're back down again. So I think maybe today is we're just going to have to accept a lot of volatility with the thin volume. It's one of those days. So trade with small size, trade the MES, not the ES, and very, very wide stops. Good morning, Ronald. David Cooper says, I predict a slow grind down as uncertainty takes us into the weekend. Yeah, I could see that. Or like a slow grind down and then a big push up at the end of the day back into range. Hi, Donkey. Ahoy, Ned. Yo, Amir. Welcome, welcome. Let's watch the market slowly bleed together.